So yeah, what I was saying before the recording started is I was the master document's all fucked up, and I'm going through it sort of chapter by chapter and looking at all the changes and making sure that we have the right stuff. So it's taking longer than I expected. I got knocked off of that process by the whole mother getting COVID thing. So,
and how are you feeling?
Well, so today is the second day since I visited her.
Okay.
I don't have a sore throat or a cough or anything. I feel lousy, but I probably feel lousy because I slept on the futon last night rather than in my bed, and I kept waking up all night long. So,
I'm gonna.
I don't know. I don't think I'm infected. I don't think I'm sick, but we'll find out by the end of the day, I think.
The other thing I'm going to mention to you on that is our ridiculous acidic placebo acid nose spray is supposed to help with reducing spread too.
Oh no, I'm starting to. Yeah,
all right.
I'm already all over that.
Making sure that you're snorting acid and
I'm snorting
making
acid.
sure that you have a sore throat, regardless of your health status.
Which that's the problem with the acidic nose spray is it kind of gives you a mild sore throat all the time.
Yes.
So it's like, do I have COVID or did I just use my acid spray?
Yeah, throw a bunch of acid into my nasal passages. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I am doing that. But I am very low energy today, mostly I think because I woke up like 30 times last night, tossing and turning on the futon.
All right.
It's what it is you, when you're 20, you go, oh, I'll just sleep on the futon. You just throw a blanket on there, you climb on, you go to sleep, you sleep fine. When you're old like us, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah, no, the couch is not great either.
Yeah. You gotta stop with that. Like if I had taken 2 minutes and laid the futon flat, probably would have dramatically improved my sleeping experience last night. But I was like, who can be bothered? I'll just curl up on it. It'll be fun. And then announcer voice, it was not fine. Yeah. So anyway, the there's a number of things coming. So, and by the way, we should start out by saying thank you guys, everybody's listening. Thank you for your patience. The last month and a half has been crazy for us. But I mean, this is what you have to do, and whatever we're doing is working because the first book of the Captives War has hit, I think, basically every bestseller list there is at this point. In the top 10, which is fantastic.
We did great. It showed up on the Times list. It showed up on the Sunday Times in the UK. It's USA Today.
Amazon's own internal bestseller list.
Yeah.
Just every bestseller list there is. So with that,
so the tour did what we had hoped it would do.
Yes.
And
so this is stuff Daniel and I needed to do, but we appreciate your patience with us because obviously we haven't been getting much done on the Josie book for the last couple months. However, to make it up to you guys, there are a bunch of updates coming. There's going to be a new master document. By the time you actually hear this, there'll be a new master document up. There'll probably be some more chapters up. So we're gonna sort of hit the ground running and make up for lost time over the last couple months on that project. So,
and
appreciate your patience.
I'm gonna hold off doing my next chapter until I see yours.
Yeah. No, and you
cool.
should wait until you get the new master document.
Well, and I should. Yeah, I mean, honestly, part of the thing that I hope people take away from this whole thing we're doing is how Slipshot and how often we lose focus and have to, come back together, and the idea behind this being, showing the unvarnished
view, yeah, the warts and all view of what it's like to be a writer.
Yeah,
on a book.
Like, shit, I didn't do anything for the last 3 months. Fuck, what am I doing? What's the story? Yeah, so I feel like I need to rewrite.
I would say that nobody could argue we didn't do anything for the last 3 months.
No, just on this.
On Josie kind of moved to the back burner.
Yeah, and that's
as we did a bunch of other things.
Well, and you've got stuff going on in your life. You will notice I am no longer in the closet.
Yeah. Finally,
because-
you came out of the closet. Jesus.
I know. Yeah, no, this space will be changing over the course of the next weeks and months into something more like an actual office and storage unit, and we'll get that to do too.
All right. So I figured we're doing an update, catching people up on where we are at. By the time the people who are listening hear this, there will be more updates on the Josie book. So the ball will have started rolling again. I figured we could, if you want to talk about Josie book stuff, we totally can. For me, it's just getting something happened in the process of updating the master document where a bunch of wrong things got put in there. And it's not a simple find and replace. I'm like having to go through the document and see where the changes are. And it's taking way longer than I thought it would. So that's my fault. I screwed that up somehow. Yeah. I'm usually pretty good about maintaining the master document. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, no, there was something hicked up. That's fine.
So I'm gonna finish fixing that.
We didn't lose anything. We lost changes, but we didn't lose matter.
Yeah, we have every one of the chapters in both revisions, yours and mine. So we have all of that. I may need to do just something that we may lose is some of the sort of tweaking I do when I put the master document together, but that's very easy to fix, very easy to replace.
Well, we'll catch it.
We'll catch it.
We'll catch it. I feel like from where I'm standing, the next thing I really need to do is read what we have and
you need to get your brain back in that head.
I need to get my brain back into it and
so expect.
And part of what's interesting about that is actually seeing what is on the page instead of what's in my memory.
Yeah. Well, we know from past experience that those two things are not the same thing.
Never are.
Because you're famously the guy who remembered writing a book that was different than the one that all of his friends were reading, so he threw the book away and rewrote it.
and it was better, and the one I remembered was better. I'm not there with Josie at this point. I think the next step is we just delete everything we have and start over from scratch.
It would not be the first time you had done that.
It would not, but it's never done lightly. Never fun.
No. And it would not be a painless process.
No.
Anyway, so for you people listening, by the time you're hearing this, there will be new things on the site. Hope at the very minimum, an updated master file that with some amount of corrections. It may not exactly match the master file that existed before because every time you go through these things, you change different things and different things occur to you as you do it. But it will be the new master file will be updated, and hopefully some new chapters as well. At least one new chapter as well would be great. So hopefully we'll have that by the time you're hearing this. And then the only other thing I think we could talk about is what it's like to be the guests of the Library of Congress.
Man, that was a great gig. That was, I mean, I will admit, going into it, I didn't understand what that what that project was, or just the scale of it.
Yeah,
I mean that's a one-day event with literally hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah,
and we have never had a signing line that went longer than that one. That was like 2 hours of hardcore work, and
I'm pretty sure we signed thousands of books in that line. And what they told us, the guys who were managing the line and cut it off very early, told us that if we had wanted to keep going, we could have signed for another 2 hours.
But we had a gig. We had an interview, and that's online now. The whole day.
Hey Joseph,
interviews.
If you're hearing this, can you put our interview at National Book Festival? Can you put a link to it on the Patreon thing so people can see it? Thanks, man. Yeah. So we may not have been working on Josie, but we were doing stuff. So we'll put a thing here so that you can watch that. And it's just like an hour-long interview by a very nice lady whose name I have forgotten because I forget everybody's name.
But we did a fine thing. It worked out. It worked out great. And we got to hang out with Annalee Newitz while we were out there too. So that was
Annalee Newitz of back in the day IO9 fame and now writing her own books fame.
Yeah.
So she's got a number of
Terraformers is the last one of hers I read, but this new one that she did about the ways in which story gets weaponized. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I haven't read that one, but her description of it was very interesting. The sort of psych warfare propaganda version of information war.
Yeah,
I think is very interesting. And considering the documents that just dropped in the last day, basically pointing out that every single talking point Fox News has done for the last 5 years are Russian propaganda points. That basically Russia bought a network in America and has been using it to spew Russian propaganda. Which
that's something maybe we should fix.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Anyway, but that book sounds great. Annalee Newitz is awesome. And I So
got
to see her.
The event itself, if anybody listening winds up achieving their dreams of writerly glory, and you wind up getting to go to the National Book Festival, it's not like anything else we've ever done before. Because like Daniel and I have been to like conventions, we've been to little local conventions, we've been to Worldcon, which is sort of the range of conventions that you get in this sort of the center of the sci-fi community, I would guess. It's the little local, the Bubonicons, and then the Worldcons are kind of the range. I've never been to Dragon Con, but I hear Dragon Con's pretty huge.
Yeah, but this was on a different scale. This was on a different scale than anything I've seen before.
What I was going to say is Dragon Con's more like a Comic-Con. It's more like a media con. And we've done Comic-Con multiple times, which is a big thing. But this is the size of Comic-Con. It's like a day of Comic-Con, but the only thing that they talk about is books.
And of course, all kinds of books. Not just our fiction stuff either. They had history and nonfiction. They had cookbooks. It was just. I mean, it was everything. It was awesome. And we were not the. And when it comes to genre fiction, we were not the big name. As much as we got, as long as we could have signed, as many people. We were number two.
We were number two. And there was a clear number one.
Oh my God!
The lady who wrote it's The Fourth Wing, right?
The Fourth Wing.
Yeah, the lady who wrote The Fourth Wing. She was clearly the star of the fiction side. That book is apparently huge right now.
Yeah, and we're behind because we haven't actually read it.
It doesn't seem like a book I'm going to read. But
it's not. You may not be the target audience. We may not be the target audience.
I'm not the target audience.
I would still read it just because I want to understand what's happening in the genre and what's happening in popular fiction. But I have seen nothing like that line since like people were waiting for the new Harry Potter to drop.
Yeah.
There was the hardest thing I saw the whole time we were out there. There was one girl who had missed the cutoff for Rebecca Yaros's sign-up line.
That's her name. Thank you.
And the girl was like weeping and being comforted by her mom. And I mean, it's
wow.
On the one hand, the whole kind of take care of the kid vibe was rich with me. And on the other hand, it's amazing to see people caring about books and stories that much.
And honestly, for all that people bash, like whatever the sort of lowest common denominator new thing is, like when I remember when 50 Shades of Grey was.
Well, we've bashed 50 Shades of Grey. We've done that ourselves.
No, and now yes. Let me finish my point, Daniel. My point is, like, I remember when Harry Potter first came out, and a bunch of people were like, "Yeah, it's popular, but it's not good," or. I mean, when Leviathan Wakes came out, there were a lot of people like, yeah, it's popular, but it's not good sci-fi.
Well,
everybody should be reading Ian Banks. And by the way, you should go ahead and read Ian Banks. I'm not bashing Ian Banks. But the thing that all of these books do, things like Fourth Wing, which I have no interest, I don't think I have any interest in it, but I'm glad it exists because when popular books come out, people remember that reading is fun.
Yeah.
And when people remember that reading is fun, they probably don't only read one book.
Well, and I mean, I look back at the things that were really important to me as a reader when I was kind of coming up into it, and I don't vouch for the quality of any of those. If I went back
we were
and
all
read
reading the Xanth books,
we
were not
we
good.
all read the Xanth books. We read Piers Anthony.
Yep.
And we shouldn't go back and look at it again. I read David Eddings until the spines broke, and I can't recommend doing that. But at the time, for me, that was amazing and important stuff. Yep. And I mean, I haven't read Yar. She may be awesome. There are also things that are very, very popular because they're
no,
good.
I'm not bashing her at all.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that the fact that there is a book that is really lighting the world on fire right now, whether people think it's good or not, is irrelevant. What's relevant to me is that there's a whole generation of readers who are being awakened by this. And those people often become lifelong readers, which is great.
And since we're on the topic, let me just say to all of the folks who are banning books right now throughout the nation and trying to keep kids from reading inappropriate stuff, fuck off.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Anybody who wants to ban books should just go fuck themselves.
So,
yeah.
That's a hill I'm going to die
for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? I read inappropriate books when I was a kid. When I was 11, I read Stars My Destination. I was way too young to read Stars My Destination.
When I was in high school, I was reading Naked Lunch. William S. Burroughs is like the least appropriate thing anybody could read. And I went on to lead a productive life and pay my taxes. When I read Stars My Destination at 11, my fandom of Stars My Destination at 11 has generated a $600 million franchise. I would say that I've added to the bottom line of the large number of people by being a fan of Stars My Destination at 11. And I think so going back to the whole the book festival, the thing that was wonderful about the book festival really was a celebration of reading.
Yes, and that's the point I was building up to. Yes,
I got there. I saw what you were doing.
No. Do lay it out.
And the things that reading does to your mind and to your experience and to your experience of being, it makes it richer and more rewarding and deeper and more profound to be alive.
Yep.
If you get to do this, and the folks who are trying to keep people from doing that, I think are evil. So it was great being with all the folks who were not evil.
I understand the impulse, but let me agree with your previous point that the celebration of the idea of reading, the celebration of the idea that books have value, and the act of reading has value, whether it's cookbooks or history books or fiction books or books about romance on Dragonback, it doesn't matter. The fact of reading does something to your brain that is a positive for the world and should be celebrated. And we should read uncomfortable books. Maybe I should go read Fourth Wing because it's not something I'm interested in. I mean, you should read stuff that maybe is outside of your comfort zone or exposes you to things that you wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And my example for that, which is agreeing with your point about the people who want to ban books because they don't want people to have that experience, is I grew up in an extremely fundamentalist religious group, and we absolutely were not supposed to be reading stuff like that. But as a kid, I didn't like being told what to do. I mean, you may know this about me, Daniel. I don't like when people tell me what to do.
As a kid.
as a kid, I didn't like being told what to do. And so I would read stuff I knew my parents didn't want me to read. And so I had experiences. I read books in which there were gay characters. And in the cult I was in, that was right out. Homosexuality was an abomination before the Lord, right? And gay people were spoken of in such vile terms, that it was you're an abomination, that God is looking down on you as you're this vile thing, right? And so you have this idea of gay people must just be awful people, right? Then you're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, you're reading books in which there are gay characters, and they're just people. They're just people that have the same life that most people have. They're attracted to people of the same sex. That's it. That's the only difference. They're not doing any vile things. They're not being awful, evil people. And you come away from that going, this thing that people are telling me is true. Maybe it's not true. And so I get the impulse that the people who want to control other people don't like people reading whatever they want because it exposes the flaws in their arguments and they don't like that. So I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that that we have these sorts of festivals where it is like, no, go read stuff you don't maybe think you want to read stuff that you're uncomfortable with, read stuff that would make your parents uncomfortable.
So there was a clip I saw recently. There was somebody asked Jon Stewart from The Daily Show what his favorite book was. And his response was anything by Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah.
And what that reminded me of was somebody at one point asked Kurt Vonnegut what book everybody should read. And his response was any damn book.
Yeah.
Anything that you enjoy reading, you should read.
Yep.
Anything that makes your day, anything that you can engage with and that speaks to you, read that. However, and you and I are authors of low status fiction. We're genre
lurid
writers.
Space adventure.
We write lurid space adventure. That's what we do.
Yep.
We are not the folks who you hold up as mentally improving. And
No.
yet we've had letters from people who said that our stuff was important to them one way and another. And maybe that's because it's something about our book, or maybe it's just we happened to be there at the right moment in that person's life to be present when they were doing what they were doing.
Yep.
But we've had people who reached out to us and said that our books were something that they could talk about with their parents.
Yeah.
When their parents were in the end stages of life. We've had people who reached out to us and said that our books were what they used to get through when they were struggling with sobriety, trying to get clean. And that's not something about our books. That's something about books.
Yeah.
So, damn.
All of that to say that the National Book Festival is awesome. It celebrates a very good thing. If you ever get to go, you should go.
And it was an honor to be there. It really was.
An honor to be there. Yeah. Yeah.
And also, they took our stuff and, put us on C-SPAN. Never been on C-SPAN before.
Never been on C-SPAN before.
not C-SPAN, C-SPAN. C-SPAN 2, the Ocho.
Yep. right between bowling and what I forget what the Ocho showed, but I totally got the reference there.
All right.
Right between bowling and slap fighting.
Yeah, so
anyway, so that's what's been going on with us.
That's where we said all of this is presently on your shoulders.
Yes, all of it is.
And we'll circle back in a week and see where we're at.
We'll see if I've got COVID by the end of the day.
My best wishes.
Yeah. Speaking of magical thinking, what's funny is as I was visiting with my mother the other day, I was saying, there's a big COVID spike. Are you being careful? Are you masking? Because she's still very religious. She goes to church meetings all the time and stuff. Like, are you masking when you're there? Are you being very careful? Oh no, I mean, it's like she was. I mean, she's not an anti-vaxxer. She got all her vaccines. But it's like everybody just sort of jointly decided it was over, and everybody just stopped doing everything. And I'm like, it's not over. There's a big spike going on right now. You should be careful. And she was well, I've never gotten it, and I've been around people who have it. Some people just don't get things, and I'm like, that's magical thinking.
Yeah. And
then the next day I get a text from her, you're going to be mad at me. But It's like,
yeah.
avoid magical thinking.
Or at least know you're doing it. I mean, own it.
Know you're
Just
doing
like, I have no faith that this placebo that we're using works, but placebo effect's a real thing. Fuck it.
Yep.
We're good.
All right. Is there any other stuff we need to talk about before?
Nah, let's roll forward and try to get back behind the mule with Josie.
Okay. Oh, hey, my assistant moved my toys around. The toys are up on a higher shelf now.
All right. All right.